shenanigans. Working stiffer than mannequins. Vader time like a mannequin. Mega powers, I'm savage and peep the babbling. Got him shook off the verbal acumen. I'm the main event, meaning nobody coming after him. The topics we be tackling, ankle locking and tapping them. I hate seafood, but I might throw the Boston crab on him. You know sometimes it gets heated. You know sometimes it gets heated.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome back into Heated Shenanigans Podcast. I'm your host, Scott, and it is a fantastic day over here. As you can see, I am joined by the one and only Mandy Sacs, one of the greatest NXT Women's Champions of all time. Mandy, welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you for having me. What's going on?
Oh, man. Busy. Lots of interviews, lots of stuff, getting ready for a charity show we have coming up.
Oh, nice. Very cool.
Absolutely. A lot of hard work coming into it. Well, let's get started here. At the top, we mentioned, obviously, being former NXT Women's Champion. And recently, NXT had made quite the waves with Jordynne Grace, TNA Jordynne Grace, making an appearance in NXT. I got to know, what are your thoughts on that?
I think that's really cool, to be honest. I've always thought Jordynne Grace was an incredible athlete, incredible talent. Every time she performs, she shows out. And obviously, especially when they have her do, little cameos or whatever you want to call them in WWE, I think it's really cool because she represents, her federation, but also the fact that they are able to do that. I think it's I think it's great because why not? Right. I mean, I know there's competing brands and I understand that, but I think it's really cool to kind of merge the brands together and show the different talent. And she's always been, an incredible athlete and talent over there. So I feel like it's really cool that she's come to NXT. And I think it's going to be a great matchup, her versus Roxanne Perez, two really incredible talent right there.
100% agree. I mean, everybody was speechless after that debut. Nobody saw it coming, which I felt was nice, that it wasn't spoiled online. We got a nice organic reaction.
Yes, I agree. I think that's always the best reactions because a lot of, the stuff we do, and whether it's spoiler alerts or things always get out, I think it's kind of cool if something really doesn't get out because I feel like just everything always gets out. So I think it's just really cool that it was a surprise. And I think it really took people, by surprise.
Well, again, I know it's been talked about on other episodes, but I kind of wanted to get a little bit deeper into the you going back down to NXT. Now, a lot of people would have looked at that as a demotion. You took it as a challenge and you rose to that occasion, becoming the biggest star on the brand with Toxic Attraction. I was interested to know, when you were sent down to NXT, was that the intent to form Toxic Attraction?
Originally, no. There was kind of no, sorry, my dogs. There was no direction or plan, I should say. It was called to my attention that I was going to go back to NXT. Didn't really have many reasons. And I just took it as a challenge. I took it as, like you said, I didn't take it as a demotion. I took it as a opportunity to be able to showcase myself and kind of get a fresh coat of paint. I think it's always good to rebrand. I think we all need that here and there. And I was kind of in a place where I wasn't extremely happy with what was going on with me on TV and where I was at. I felt like I had more potential and I had more to show the WWE universe and NXT universe. So I feel like it was really a great time to do that. And nothing was planned. Like I said, I went back there. I remember speaking with Triple H himself, Shawn Michaels, and it was we didn't want to pigeonhole me. It wasn't we're going to do this with you. They had some ideas that were kind of, they were all marinating with and kind of figuring out what the best thing was, but no one knew. And then Toxic Attraction came about. And I really just love the fact that instead of making those girls a little bit more like me, it was kind of I took their edge and they made me a little more like them. And we're all so different, the three of us, but we just merged really well together. And we still showed who we were individually, but when we came out as a team, it was like, whoa, like these girls, you know, obviously are cohesive with each other and have great camaraderie and all these things. So it was just one of those things that just like, let's see if it sticks, and it worked, you know?
Oh, absolutely. You had a meteoric rise down in NXT with Toxic Attraction. Now, when you guys really started gaining all that momentum and that traction, did creative ever stop and think, well, maybe we should move this to a main roster setting?
You know, I can't say that I remember anyone saying that. I do remember people saying like, this is going to be really great on the main roster when that day comes. But, you know, it's always that thing. And they do this with a lot of talent. It's like, they don't want to take you from NXT because they have to build more stars there. And if they take all the stars and there's just developmental talent, whereas they need the talent to help, you know, so-and-so get them over or help reach their potential and just help in general, because that's what NXT is all about. So I think it was more one of those things of like, well, we know they're going to be big on the main roster, but let's keep them here for now because, you know, what ain't broke, you know, we don't need to fix it. And it's like one of those things where it was really doing really well. And we were kind of just like really taking over the NXT women's locker room and all that. So I just think it was time. Eventually, you know, we were going to have to go up there, I think. But yeah, nothing was really truly said when I was still there.
Well, ever since the departure of you from WWE, your former teammates have kind of gone off on separate directions in NXT. Still successful, but I was wanting to know how you felt about where they're at right now in NXT.
Yeah, you know, I think regardless of the situation, you know, nothing was planned with my exit and all those things. And there is a little bit of like guilt on my part that I feel like, you know, not my fault, but also like there was some unfinished business, and we were such a good staple. And you know, I do kind of feel bad, I would say, to be honest, about like what had happened, because we were the hottest thing in NXT. So I do feel a little bit bad, but I know those women will flourish on their own. I think part of it as well is that like they all need to be able to be individual talent and individual characters as well. So I think it was cool that they got into a feud together. You know, a couple hiccups along the road now with some injuries and all that, but along the way, I think they're going to do amazing. And, you know, there's always room for maybe the future. Maybe Toxic Attraction reunites one day, you know, you never know.
Oh,
That
that would be, I'm telling you, if that was a Royal Rumble appearance by you or just a Raw after WrestleMania, which is where a lot of people love to put the WWE returns.
Yeah.
It'd be big news.
It would be big news for sure.
Now, I got to know, though, over the course of your career, Mandy, what would you say is one lesson that you learned that you didn't expect to learn, and how did it change your career afterwards?
I would say the one lesson I learned would be, you know, taking everything with a grain of salt. And I personally thought I did a good job doing that when I was in NXT. And like, you just have so many different opinions of who they, you know, whether it's a producer, coach, whatever it may be, of who they think you should be. And I think you yourself know the best of who you're going to be. And I just think when there's too many cooks in the kitchen, sometimes it's like, it messes with your mental state. And that's what I always kind of tried to help the girls down in NXT, because when I was down there, like it was a little bit of a mental mind, you know what, I don't want to curse, but that like feeling of like, well, they told me this, then they told me this. And then like, it messes with you and you think about it too much. And then it kind of reflects in your work and your performance, when really it's not that big of a deal. You know, we all make mistakes. We all learn and grow from them, I think. And if you don't make those mistakes in the ring, you're never going to know when it does happen. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But I just think when there's too many people trying to guide you in who your character should be specifically, that's where it sometimes gets a little tricky. And in my case, you know, in the beginning, when I first got to the main roster, it was like, you know, you don't need to be too sexy. You're already so sexy. And I'm like, okay, well, I wasn't really trying to be that sexy. Like that just is me. But then did it get in my head a little bit that like, maybe I'm like, all right, let's pull back a little bit. I'm too sexy. And then does that core, you know what I mean? Like, it's like one of those things where it really could mess you up. So my biggest advice, and I always tell the young talent, is like, take everything with a grain of salt. You really don't have to listen to everyone. It sounds bad. I know there could be coaches and producers and all that, but at the end of the day, like, the most organic and natural competitors over there and characters are the ones that are authentic and they feel it. You know, when you feel it, it comes off the realist.
You know, I'm glad you mentioned the advice. And you going down to NXT, you had been on the main roster. You'd had a WrestleMania match moment on the main roster. Who were some people that had the biggest impact on you when you went down to NXT? Because I know you had so much wisdom to give to them. I was wanting to know who really impacted you.
As far as talent or up higher ups? Anyone?
Either. Yeah.
I would say, you know, Shawn Michaels was really great to work with, and he was just always so open to suggestions, so easy to talk to. It was really cool to go back to NXT and work with him. And he just had so much passion, and obviously, you know, he's for you know, running NXT now and everything. And at that time, it was kind of the transition of when he started. And I just always had a great relationship with him when it came to anything that we needed, or whether it was to maybe if he needed something with other girls, you know, I could be the one to talk to the girls, because I'm a little bit you know, older, I should say, but also like I've been to the main roster. I kind of know how it is and all that. So I would say he was a big part in everything in a positive way. And then I just think like the talent in general, like I really had a lot of fun working with the NXT women. There was a very like, you know, high level of respect and camaraderie. And I really became great friends with a lot of them. Like, you know, obviously my Toxic Attraction girls, and then Indy Hartwell, Cora Jade, and Roxanne Perez. Like, we formed this little group, and I talk with them more than I talk with, you know, most of the main roster girls. I have, you know, my best friend Daria and such, but like, it's, you know, I became really, really close with them, and it was really nice because I felt like their older sister, and I felt like I could help them with certain things, not non-wrestling related, because they probably all wrestled longer than I had.
Well, you know, in wrestling, everybody has, for the most part, great outfits, great gear. I wanted to know, over your time in wrestling, what is your favorite piece of gear from your career that you do not own?
From my career that I do not own, meaning like I don't have it anymore, or?
Oh, maybe it never made its way back after the show. You maybe just traded it off, got rid of it.
Gotcha. That's a good question. I'd have to think. I don't know. I feel like I have so much of my gear. Maybe the pink one with Dana Brooke. I think I don't know if I have that one, but we were told that right after we wore that like they didn't approve that gear for some reason. I don't know why, but it wasn't really that flashy anyway. But it was just something they just didn't like. So we were like, all right, cool. But like, we literally just got it made, and we were like, oh, that's a waste of money. So I don't know. I might have like thrown it somewhere. That's maybe one that I don't know if I have, but it may be somewhere in the draw.
Fair enough. Well, a lot of people in professional wrestling, we compare wrestlers, past, present, future stars. One person you're starting to get a lot of comparisons to, obviously, is Tiffany Stratton. I was wanting to know what your thoughts are on the comparisons between you and Tiffany Stratton, because she's got the rocket strap on her, like she's heading to the top.
Yeah, for sure. When I first met Tiffany and I first saw her match at the PC, the Performance Center in NXT, I was kind of blown away, because I asked a lot of the girls, I'm like, how long has this girl been wrestling for? And they were like, oh, not long at all. You know, she's didn't come from wrestling like you and stuff. And I was like, wow, she's really great. And I could tell she just had that athletic ability though, too, kind of like Charlotte Flair, similarity of like the gymnastics background. And you could tell she just like was super athletic. So I was really impressed with that. And, you know, I think it's cool, the comparisons. You know, I'm flattered. I'm very humble. I was always compared to Trish Stratus. It was always a motivation for me to kind of strive and be successful like Trish. So I think it's cool that Tiffany gets these comparisons. And I think sometimes people just like to relate, girls, whether they're blonde and similar stature, like, oh, they're similar. So, I mean, we are very different too in ways, but I think it's cool. And I think she has a really bright future. I think she's killing it already. And if she handles the the negative side of like the politics and the kind of the controversy when it comes to certain things, I think she's going to be great.
I echo all of that 100%. Now, something on social media, you are very active on social media, TikTok, so many great TikTok moments with you online. What would you say your favorite 3 TikTok dances are?
Oof. So during the pandemic, that's when I started doing it, when TikTok became really popular with the dances. And my mom lived with me for a little while in my townhouse. And, she was like obviously unemployed at the time because of COVID. So I would like throw my mom in a lot of these dances. So my mom just recently like actually said, she was like, oh my God, I can't believe I did these dances with you. She's like, I look terrible. How'd you make me do this? So I actually laughed because I would like force her to do them with me. So I'd say like those dances that I used to do, the ones that were really trendy, were a lot of fun. I did some multiple times, which like, I don't know. And some of them when I just watch, I'm just like, ooh, they're a little cringe, but I think it's funny. And I think people could relate to that as well. Cause like they may look at me and think that I'm more like serious and I'm not really like, like silly like that. And I think I showed a lot of silliness, which is why I love social media. Cause I can show all different variations of me. So my fans can get to know me.
Well, as we wind down here, before we wrap up, I want to give a very major thank you to our friends over at Big Event New York. Tom has been tremendous in helping set this up. Very grateful to Tom for the opportunity. Now, do you have anything coming up? Any social medias you'd like to plug? Any upcoming appearances with Big Event New York?
I do, yes. My next appearance is July 16th in Point Pleasant, New Jersey, War on the Shore. So that'll be fun. It's on the beach, which hopefully we'll have some nice weather. I'm actually up in New York now, so it's been fun. And our podcast is doing well. We're continuing, to do our episodes on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Power Alpha's podcast. And I'm busy. I got a lot of things in the works. I'm excited. And, everyone can follow me on social media at Mandy Sacs on all the platforms. So I'm excited for the future.
As you should be. You have so many positive things coming up with you and your soon-to-be husband, correct?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, wedding in November. So we're busy.
Well, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of Heated Shenanigans Podcast. I want to sincerely thank my guest today, Mandy Sacs, from taking time from her day to join us on today's episode. Truly an honor, Mandy.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, guys. Well, everybody out there, take care, and we will see you on the next episode.